Thank you for tuning into Faces of Hope, a series brought to you by the St. Marianne Cope Shrine and Museum. Kate Mahoney leads us in candid conversations of hope and healing and inspiration from people who share the values of Marianne in their day-to-day lives and work. Today's episode, Providing Comfort and Joy. Colette Walter is a sister in St. Marianne's community, the Sisters of St. Francis of the Newman Communities. Providing a home for people who are on the journey through end of life, Colette speaks to the love and faith that can ease the fear of dying.
Hello, my dear friend. It's so lovely to be with you.
Well, it's great to be with you too, Kate. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. How's your morning been today? What have you been up to?
Well, this morning we're kind of quarantined, not really, but we can't go to Francis' house, so we're just at home now.
Okay.
Had a very quiet morning. We always start with prayer at 6:00. We do our prayer, and then, if it was summertime, I'd probably be out walking.
Yeah.
I can't go out walking now. I do have an exercise program that I do. It's called Grow Young.
Oh.
It is really good. It's
Nice.
for balance.
Okay.
And, and just to build up the core. I
Right.
don't know if it's built up my core yet, but it has.
No,
it has
you know,
helped with my balance.
My
Yeah.
dad had a spinal stenosis for a while, and he did a
Mhm.
balance program, and it made a huge difference.
It does. It
So,
really
yeah.
does. I think the thing is you have to be consistent. Like you have to almost do it every day.
Absolutely.
I am very consistent to do it every day.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Now, if you have your morning prayer, when you were outside, was that combined? Was morning prayer while you were walking, or are those separate things?
Well, actually, it's kind of combined because
Yeah.
I do it by myself.
Okay.
I like it because, I can walk inside because we do have a walker.
Okay.
Bicycle or something, but I prefer to go outside because, you just see the beauty around you.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes springtime and fall. There's so much to see as I walk around. So.
Oh, there's nothing like those early hours in the morning.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. It is one of the deeper pieces I have known. It's just getting up to walk or just be outside. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
It was great. So that's always my morning. And
Yeah.
then I go in the afternoon, I go over to Francis' house from like 10:30 to 12:30.
Okay.
So, so my afternoons are pretty much to myself, but, I do letter writing, or I have my reading I like to do. Of course, I always be on my computer.
Yeah.
I have to do that.
Yeah.
And, and I may even walk again in the afternoon if the weather's nice.
Sure.
But I feel very privileged because, I work part-time now, so I have that time, to do all of these things. Of course, then you got to do housework, there's always something in the house to do.
Right.
And then we pray again at 5:00.
Okay.
We, again, have our prayer.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty, it's flexible, but then there's some structure within it.
Right.
That's
Well,
good.
this is something I have always we do have to be both. We have to be able to kind of navigate and be prepared for change, but also
Absolutely.
still, yeah.
Absolutely.
Colette, are there different prayers that you find or have come across in this time of what I really keep calling it profound healing? And that is my own privilege, having been through, illness that impacted my family in a major way before. But have you found different prayers that are specific to this time?
Well, what I found out is when we say the office, there are certain Psalms in there. I really try to pay attention and kind of connect them to where we are right now.
Yeah.
The different Psalms that we have. I can't think of right now, but, Psalms are so, what shall I say? The Psalms could be for any time. I mean, maybe they were written a long time ago, but they certainly can be used in the present. There's so much about the Psalms that are just so beautiful. And I think it's easy to, say them rotely, you're saying the Psalm, so you say it over and over. But I've been really trying to pay attention to it in the light of what's going on right now.
You say that things written so many years ago that have applications today.
Absolutely.
Is there something that jumps out for you in terms of what you know about Mother Marianne? I mean, obviously, Francis House is a exact replica of the model of what it is to give and care and provide for one another. But is there something that really kind of ignited that in you at a certain point in time, and now you find yourself applying it?
Well, the thing that that I can say is we say the Mother Marianne prayer every day.
Yeah.
I mean, every single day we say that. And that has really, just the prayer itself that says, all the things that Mother Marianne has done and continues to do. She loved and served her neighbor, especially those in need. So that has really, it probably has meant more to me during this COVID than any other time.
Sure.
And that's, if I think, I feel very fortunate that I'm part of her community that has.
Me too. That's a great way to put it. I know there are times I don't intentionally forget, but I am more frequently I guess I'm a little less frequently reminded that I have these building blocks in place already for having this person who I've studied about, who I've grown in a relationship with, albeit posthumously,
Yes.
And then even in dialogue with you and with some of the other sisters, it's a whole part of my life that balances the day-to-day human noise,
Absolutely. Yeah. I always knew about Mother Marianne, but I really got to know her, through the canonization and through this beautiful, what you have up there, the beautiful museum, the shrine. I mean, that is so beautiful. And if you didn't know anything about Mother Marianne, if you just went through that shrine, it is so, it's put together so well.
Yeah.
The chronological pieces. And so I think, if I didn't know about Mother Marianne, I know about her now.
Yeah.
And it only makes you love her even all the more.
Right. Well, yeah. And like you said, the way that they built the museum and the way the vignettes and exhibits flow, I mean, to me, it always reminds me that we need context.
That's right.
So you can have a perception of what a saint is, or what a nun is, or what it looked like on the island of Molokai. But once you kind of see where those different things fit in conjunction with the other facets of history, it tells the whole story. And to me, I mean, I've always gravitated to story. I think that's how we grow. It's why I love theater, all that stuff. But I have to say, with Francis House, I've thought about you a lot because I was curious to know how much visitor policy has been affected, and how is, like, obviously the patient and the comfort for the patient who may not have anyone outside of Francis House, and that's why they're there. How is it changing in terms of broadening the scope of care for the caregivers that don't have the same access that maybe they would prior to the rules and regulations around the pandemic?
It's been very, very difficult.
Yeah.
The residents, we had eliminate, we started off that they could not have any visitors at all. So it was very important that the caregivers and the administration would be visiting them.
Yeah.
And we opened it to visitors. But now that the second wave has come, we've had to close it again. And actually what we're doing now is we're going to put Francis House on pause.
Okay.
And we're going to so we can clean we can really, really clean and get out if there's any COVID virus or disease in there to get it out. So
Yeah.
that, because it's so infectious right now. And they said that this wave, I think, is less, what should I say? It's more infectious, but you get less sick on it. That's what
Okay.
but it's very infectious.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is put it on pause now so that we can do the cleaning. But yes, it has affected us very much. And of course, the volunteers couldn't come in,
Right.
and they really they missed that a lot. Or when they were coming, they could only come in the kitchen and serve. They couldn't even visit the residents. So that was hard for them because that's why they like to come. They like to come to visit the residents.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that connection has shifted to transaction.
Yep.
And it's like everybody is scrambling to find ways to fill that void in a way that maybe empowers them or satisfies them.
That's right.
In a way that they couldn't have articulated until it was taken away. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You mentioned your connection to Mother Marianne. When were you introduced to her, for lack of a better term?
I remember very clearly when they brought her back from Hawaii.
Okay.
And when she came in on that hearse, I mean, even now I get all filled up.
Yeah.
Because that was so touching. We all stood on the driveway, and I still get choked up about that. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
that was powerful.
I don't want to sound totally naive, but even though, like you said, she arrived and your introduction was her on a hearse. Now, to someone who doesn't have the same constructs of faith or belief that you have, that may sound very different.
Yes.
But did you feel like it was one of your sisters? You know what I mean?
I did. That's what made me so,
yeah,
so joyous and so filled with pride, I guess I would have to say.
Okay. That's great. Oh, I love hearing that. I know I think about how I just have these conversations with her every day, and they look different every day, because that's how you cultivate relationship, right? It goes from seemingly much more formal or even distant to familial and comfortable and effortless. Right. That's so right. What a gift.
Like she's like, you can almost feel her right there.
Yeah.
Very attentive. I think she's extremely attentive to what happens in our community and her interest. And she never lost that.
Yeah.
On the other side, but I think she's very, very much aware and present.
Right.
Yeah.
I have asked people if they could describe Mother in one word, what would it be? And what's so cool is that I have yet to have anybody say the same word twice, which reminds me of just what an amazing human she was and what a gift she had. And you say present, and I think of that as that would be a word I think I would probably use. But what's your word?
My other word is resiliency.
So apt for right now.
I think she had so many difficulties that she had to contend with, but because of her love of God was so expansive that she was able to bounce back. She was able to give her all, even though she was having, there were people that just didn't agree with her, but she just knew what God's gift was for her and what God had asked her to do, because she was so connected with God.
Yeah.
That her resiliency, she wasn't afraid, she wasn't afraid to reach out, to trust in God. But I think that resiliency,
It's okay.
Not take
we can edit.
This is Geraldine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Geraldine, what's up?
I was at Kitty's window, and I saw a text from Sally. She said she sent over a thermometer.
Yes, we got it. All right, now listen, I am now on with Kate, so I can't talk.
Hi, Geraldine.
She's saying, hi, Geraldine.
Hi, Kate. Oh, hey, Colette, just one thing.
What?
What kind of thermometer?
I don't know. I don't know. Kathy has it. She brought it downstairs.
Okay.
It's one of those things. I don't know. It's not a thermometer. I think it's an odometer. I think it's thing you. Now this is how stupid I am. It's a thing that you measure oxygen. What is that called?
Oh, the oximeter.
Oh, oximeter.
Yeah.
Odometer, oximeter.
Right. Well, without the oximeter, your odometer is going to be slow.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
They just put up with my, you know, my certainly not understanding of all the. Anyway, I'm glad you can edit this because.
Oh, yeah. But these are important questions of your day, you know.
And that's it. That's right. Yeah. All right, let's get back to basics now.
Well, so okay, resiliency.
Resiliency.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Is that a conversation? Are you using that word or tapping into what you feel resiliency looks like more so now, or maybe not, because you helped establish Francis House and you kind of knew what that mission would be, and maybe you can just talk about that for a little bit.
Well, yes, because I think resiliency, you know, the importance of resilience is determination and persistence.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have determination and persistence, things can go by the wayside. So I think as far as Francis House is concerned, there were people who were not on the same wavelength as we were to open Francis House. And I think they really thought, well, you know, why would we want a house like this on this street, you know? Actually, it was Sister Kathleen Oswald that really was on the front line, so to speak, you know, kind of in the background. So I was not, you know, I didn't have a part in that. But I think, you know, I just think, well, and I think resiliency now in this COVID, you know, you've got to be resilient. No matter what happens, you have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't, you know, I always see the glass half full, not half empty. I mean, I've always been a positive person. So I always look for the good, you know, other people. So in the good of Francis House. So I don't know whether that answers your question or not, but.
No, I mean, I think really working at setting the intention to see the glass is half full can be taxing for someone who feels like everything that was providing them their identity or their comfort or their connection, as it seems like everything starts to fall away. So to be able to still harness that and have the capacity to see the good, I think is so helpful. I mean, do you find that people ask you during the day things like, how do you do it?
Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact, my own family will ask me that.
Yeah.
You know, they have asked me, they don't ask me anymore, but they used to say, how can you work with people who are dying? And I say to them, they are not dying, they are living. We are just journeying with them.
Yeah.
They're on a journey and we're accompanying them on a journey. That's all. You know, like you would accompany anybody if they were sick or whatever. I said, so I don't look at them as dying people. I look at them as people on a journey on their way to God. And because we know now, I mean, they know, they're closer, they know. Like we don't know when we're going to die, but you know, we always have to be prepared. So it's just a journey.
Yeah. Oh, that I so appreciate that. And it really, I think it does take maybe not the stigma, but it does lower the expectation, I think, for people who think, well, now you're dying, I have to show up in a different way. I
Yeah.
have to be better or faster or stronger. And you
Yeah.
don't. You just
Yeah.
have to always be able to do what you can do. And like you said, if you don't know, you ask for help.
That's
And if
right.
you're lucky, you have somebody who can giggle with you about what you
That's right.
know and
Yeah, there's
support you.
always somebody there.
It's
Yeah,
sort
you're
of
never,
like
you're never alone.
reverse domino effect where everything just bolsters, you know.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that moment around, you know, life and death and not really knowing what's going to happen. And I was thinking when my mom and I were putting up our Christmas decorations, we pulled out this one box, and we haven't opened this one particular box in probably a decade, but it was a little paper mobile that says joy, and it has some stars, and I think there are some little angel decals or something. And I said to my mom, "What is this?" And she said, "Well, this is the thing that hung over your bed in the intensive care unit."
Oh.
And I knew that something had existed, but for some reason, in the face of everything we're going through as a global family with this pandemic, I was really struck that it said joy. And I thought, wow, like it just really landed differently for me this year. And I said to my mom, "Who was this from?" And she said, "Somewhere I have a note with exactly who it's from, but I'm pretty sure it's from your nurses." And again, I was like, oh my gosh, like these are the intensive care nurses.
That's
These are
right.
the ones who went to school and did their training specifically for the moments when patients are in the most dire need. And what came out of that was joy.
Wow.
And I thought, focus on joy, the intention of joy. It really like shook me in a wonderful way.
Yes.
But that's really what I hear, or what I'm choosing to hear you say as well, because when you're journeying through, you're not carrying a burden. I mean, yes, there are elements of burden and things and days that are heavier than others, but to have that be a focus of just, this is a privilege and this is our time together, whatever it's going to look like. So why not put a positive spin, not a positive spin, but be positive.
Yeah. And I think lots of times when you're with residents who are dying, the last thing they're going to think about is joy.
Yeah.
So you have to be that for them, you know, you have to bring that to them and try to comfort them in a way that they will see death not as a burden, but as a just a passing. And I'll say to them, you know, everybody's afraid to die.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, you're always afraid to die. But it's not afraid to die. It's afraid of when that moment from life to death happens, is that just split second. And I try to tell them, you will never be alone. You know, I mean, God is with you, journeying you all the way. So if you think if you're going to think you're going to be by yourself, you are not.
Yeah.
God will be with you. And I believe that.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens.
I remember asking my dad if he was afraid to die. And I can't remember now when it was, but it was probably only maybe a couple months or weeks before he actually died. And he said he really wasn't afraid to die, but he was really sad and he was going to really miss me and my mom. And I thought, like, that was such a beautiful thing to say. I mean, I think it was what he needed to say. It was certainly what I needed to hear. And then when he did pass away, the peace on his face, it was I don't know how to say it. It was kind of like a nice bookend of this very human moment and then this very faith-filled other world moment.
Right.
To be able to, I feel very privileged to have had those two experiences among a million others in that process.
Yeah,
you know?
That's great. Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm just thinking of it now. I am curious to know what role active listening plays for you in a day-to-day, whether it's with caregivers or patients. And I say that because when you say you want to provide the joy for the patients, there's a way to do that so that it's not dismissive, you know, like it's not like you're just, like you say, everyone is afraid to die, and that opens up the space to have someone feel more connected to someone else.
Mhm.
But if you were to just say like, well, can't you just find the joy? Like that would be, you wouldn't say that, right?
Yeah.
So how is your communication factoring in your connection with people?
Well, I usually make sure that ahead of time they know how much God loves them.
Mhm.
You know, the unconditional love that God has for them, and that when this happens, I said, you remember, Paul said, "Eye has not seen nor ear heard what is prepared for you in heaven." So whatever you suffer here, you know, you can't walk, you can't talk, or whatever. I said, that's going to be all gone. And there's going to be this happiness you're going to have. I said, but before the happiness comes, you have to just pass from one phase to the next. And it's that expectation, you know, I try to tell them that experience that you can expect a wonderful thing on the other side.
Mhm.
You just have to get to the other side. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just trying to help them to be at peace with what's going to happen. And the majority of people can, although many times before they die, they're not conscious,
Mhm.
you know. And if they're unconscious for quite a long time, sometimes I'll tell the family whether this, but I believe this. Sometimes I think their soul is already communing with God.
Mm.
Their body just hasn't caught up.
Yeah.
And that has been a comfort for many people when they see them for this long haul, you know, unconscious or not aware.
Yeah.
I said, you know, so maybe, you know, I think they're probably communing with God. So they're very at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah. No, not anyway. That's really important. That's wonderful.
that's what I think happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Um, so I think when you are dealing with patients and caregivers, you're not dealing exclusively with people of a Catholic faith or,
Yeah.
you know, there are different degrees of practicing whatever their religion is. So if you are offering in your own perception and belief that God loves a person, have you come across an experience for whom that might be not the
Oh, yeah.
comfort they were looking for? So what
Yeah.
do you mind sharing what that looks like?
Well, it's very challenging, I guess is the word,
Okay.
because, you know, I know what they could experience, but
Mhm.
have not had like a background, or they've only experienced negativity.
Mhm.
It's hard for them at this stage to turn that around
Sure.
in the positive way. I mean, some people have had a very negative life
Yeah.
and they have never, you know, I mean, we had a priest there that had a very hard time, but you know, it hurts your heart
Mm.
that they can't enjoy, they don't have the grace or whatever it is to enjoy or to know that God loves them unconditionally. That's what I keep telling them. I said, God loves you unconditionally. Even if you don't love God, that's okay, because he's not going to not love you.
Yeah.
He will not love you. And so, and this doesn't happen in one conversation. You do a little bit, just a little bit each time, hoping that you're going to crack through.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And that, I mean, again, it sounds like you have been doing this now long enough and you are committed to the person in front of you.
That's right.
Whether you do or whether you don't, you still have a
Yeah.
trust and a faith that it's not
Mhm.
it's not like you're carrying that level of responsibility. You're just giving the grace that you have.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always tell the caregivers, because I never want them to take death for granted,
Mhm.
you know, because they see it day after day after day. So I always tell them every death is sacred and every death is different.
Yeah.
No two people die alike, but all the deaths want it's important that we're there with them if we can be.
Yeah.
That's one of our criteria at Francis House, that nobody will die alone.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that, and they are very good. I mean, they can tell. I mean, I can't tell. I mean, tell by the breathing or by the, you know, the apnea or whatever. but they're very good in spotting that so that the families would be able to get there. I think that's a, but you know, and they're wonderful with the dying. They are so, our caregivers, we're so lucky.
Yeah.
They're so compassionate. And of course, our 4 words are CARD, compassion, acceptance, respect, and dignity. And those are our values. Try to incorporate them.
Yeah. Did that come out of a combination of just shared values for you and Kathy and the kind of figureheads, for lack, you know,
Yeah.
or I mean, is it also, are you pulling from what you know from Mother Marianne and the work she did in hospitals here on the mainland and also in Molokai?
Well, I have to say, I don't think it was paramount at that point.
Yeah.
They were
Okay.
doing it, you know, but
Yeah.
as you think about it, you know, I mean, those are the 4 virtues that she certainly practiced: compassion, acceptance, respect, and dignity.
Right.
And, you know, when a resident comes to Francis House, I always tell the family and the residents that they will be treated with CARD, compassion, acceptance, respect, and dignity. And, you know, so many of the residents and the families, they get big tears in their eyes because I think they've never heard that.
Yeah.
They're going to be treated that way.
Mhm.
You know, so it's a wonderful thing. So I think they're virtues that people can understand
Mhm.
what it is to be compassionate.
Yeah.
You know, to be accepted, to be respected. You know, so
Right.
they know that.
Yeah. Just, I mean, they're excellent tenets of how to be a human.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And you've
And
got right on.
I know, you know, my grandmother, I know you know this, my
Mhm.
grandmother passed away on Christmas Day at Francis House. And for everything that we thought we knew about how we were each handling her death and dying, it wasn't for my mom. I mean, I don't want to speak for my mom, but I know she shared this with me. When she walked in the doors of Francis House, she physically felt her shoulders lower. And it was like she could have this opportunity to be a daughter,
Yes,
not just to
absolutely.
be, you
A
know,
caregiver.
yeah. And I mean, she's one, you know, I have 13 aunts and uncles. So it was a big family spread out all over the country. And there was sort of this collective sigh of relief and gratitude in the midst of sadness and
Absolutely,
loss.
yeah.
But it's Francis House is a really special place in that way. And I do feel like there's an obvious eating, sleeping, and breathing of the care, acceptance, respect, and dignity.
Absolutely.
So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that we haven't covered that is something you'd like to offer in terms of celebration of Mother Marianne, or just guidance for people living in this time of profound healing?
Well, I think I've already said this once before.
Yeah.
I am just so proud that I am part of the community that Mother Marianne belonged to. And I think, you know, just knowing that and appreciating it and reveling in that
Yeah.
has really helped. It just makes me filled with pride to say that you know, our community has really fostered this, you know, and recognized it, that she had something that she gave, and she gave it well,
Yeah.
that we validated it. I think that's the word. We validated her, what she did for us, for everybody.
Yeah.
That's maybe the one
That's
word.
great. Yeah.
Validated.
Thank you for sharing a little time today. Have a beautiful holiday and continue on in everything that you do and who you are. I'm very appreciative. Lucky to call you my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, because it really has been a blessing for me. And you also have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
Hard as it's going to be this year, but we'll do it.
Yeah, we will. We will. All right.
All right.
Take
Thanks
care.
a
I
lot.
love you.
God bless you. Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.